Have you ever imagined getting the keys to your new home? You are excited. The moving truck is outside. Family and friends are helping. You have taken the day off work. You have paid your first and last month's rent. You have signed all the paperwork. You unlock the front door. And within minutes, your excitement turns into disappointment. The home isn't clean. Repairs that were promised haven't been completed. Essential systems don't work. Instead of unpacking your belongings, you are making a list of problems. Unfortunately, this isn't just a hypothetical situation. It happens more often than people think. Welcome back to A Real Estate Wisdom with Vish, where I share real life experiences, practical advice, and the lessons I have learned after more than 14 years in the real estate industry, helping buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants navigate one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. If you are new to the channel, thank you for joining me. Please consider subscribing because every week we discuss real estate topics that can help you save money, avoid costly mistakes, and make smarter real estate decisions. Today we are discussing something that every tenant, landlord, and realtor should understand. What happens when possession day doesn't go as planned? Recently, I represented tenant clients who were moving into a rental property in Oakville. Like every rental transaction, expectations had already been discussed before possession. The understanding was simple. The landlord would complete certain repairs, the property would be professionally cleaned, everything would be ready before the tenants moved in. That's what everyone expected. That's what was communicated. Possession day arrived, we opened the front door and immediately realized that property was nowhere near move-in ready. Instead of handing my clients the keys with excitement, we started documenting problems. One after another. The air conditioning wasn't working. This was during warm weather. Imagine moving furniture all day into a home with no cooling. The home hadn't been properly cleaned. Closets still contained clothing and personal belongings. The stove was covered with grease. Kitchen ventilation filters were extremely dirty. The front entrance door didn't close properly. Several lights weren't functioning. Outside sections of the deck had rotten wood boards, creating a potential safety concern. There was broken glass that hadn't been repaired. The water filtration system wasn't working. The drain cap was missing. Even the lockbox used during showings had been left attached to the front door. Individually, some people might call these small issues. Collectively, they represented something much larger. The property simply wasn't delivered in the condition everyone expected. And that's where today's lesson begins. Why this matters. Many people think possession day is simply about getting the keys. It's much more than that. Possession day represents the beginning of a new relationship. For tenants, it's the beginning of a new home. For landlords, it's the beginning of a business relationship. For realtors, it's the final step in successfully completing months of work. When that day starts with frustration, trust immediately begins to erode. The tenant starts wondering, if this is how my tenancy begins, what happens when something bigger breaks? The landlord suddenly receives multiple phone calls, the listing agent is answering questions, the tenant's realtor is trying to find solutions. Everyone becomes reactive instead of proactive. Most of these situations could have been avoided with better preparation. Let's talk about the legal responsibilities, but in plain English. I'm not a lawyer, and this episode isn't legal advice. Laws can change, and every situation is different. If you are dealing with a legal dispute, speak with a qualified legal professional or contact the appropriate housing authority. That said, in Ontario, landlords generally have a responsibility to maintain their rental property in a good state of repair and ensure it is fit for habitation. That means if the landlord has provided certain fixtures, appliances, or systems as part of the rental, they are generally responsible for maintaining them, unless the tenant caused the damage. Things like heating and cooling systems, door and locks, windows, electrical fixtures, plumbing, appliances included with the rental, structural safety. These aren't optional. They are part of providing a safe and functional place to live. Cleaning is another important consideration. Nobody expects a rental property to look like a luxury hotel suite, but they should reasonably expect a clean, hygienic, move-in ready home, not one filled with someone else's belongings, grease-covered appliances, or obvious neglect. Now I want to address something that's often misunderstood. People sometimes think the listing agent is responsible for everything. That's not true. The listing agent doesn't own the property. The listing agent doesn't perform repairs. The listing agent isn't the contractor. However, a professional listing agent has an important responsibility: communication, follow-up, accountability. If the landlord says repairs will be completed, the listing agent should follow up. If cleaning is scheduled, confirm it happened. If contractors haven't finished, tell everyone before possession, not after. Nobody likes surprises on possession day. The best realtors prevent problems before they happen. Good communication saves relationships. Poor communication creates conflict. Advice for tenants. If you are a tenant and you find yourself in this situation, don't panic. Stay calm. Stay professional. Then do these things immediately. First, take photos. Lots of photos. Take videos. Document every issue. Second, create a written list, not verbal, written. Include dates, include times, be specific. Third, send the information to the landlord. Copy both realtors if they are still involved. Fourth, keep records of every email, text message, and response. Documentation protects everyone. One very important point. Many tenants ask, can I simply stop paying rent until everything is fixed? Generally speaking, that is not the right approach. Withholding rent without following the proper legal process can create additional problems. Instead, communicate clearly, document everything, and if issues aren't resolved, seek guidance through the appropriate legal channels. Advice for landlords. Now, let's speak directly to landlords. Being a landlord is running a business. Your rental property is an investment. Like every successful business, customer experience matters. Your tenant is trusting you with something incredibly important, their home. If you promise repairs, complete them. If you promise professional cleaning, make sure it's actually done. If delays happen, communicate honestly. Most reasonable tenants understand that unexpected situations occur. What frustrates people isn't usually the delay, it's silence or promises that aren't kept. A small investment before possession can prevent much larger problems afterward. Think about the cost of unhappy tenants, maintenance compliance, damage, relationships, possible legal disputes, negative reviews, and unnecessary vacancies later. Preparation costs are less than conflict. Possible legal consequences. If maintenance concerns aren't addressed, tenants may have options to Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board depending on the circumstances. Possible remedies can include orders requiring repairs, rent abatements in certain situations, reimbursement for qualifying expenses, or other remedies available under Ontario law. Every case is different and outcomes depend on the specific facts and applicable law. The goal shouldn't be to end up before the board. The goal should be solving the problem before it gets that far. Final thoughts, I will leave you with this. Possession day should be one of the happiest days in a real estate transaction. Whether you are buying, selling, renting, or becoming a landlord, everyone deserves a smooth transition. For tenants, know your rights, document concerns, and communicate professionally. For landlords, keep your promises and deliver the property in the condition you committed to. For realtors, remember that your reputation isn't built only on negotiating deals. It's built on how you handle the final details that clients remember long after the paperwork is signed. Because people rarely remember the day they signed the agreement. They remember the day they got the keys. If you ever experienced a difficult possession day as a tenant, landlord, buyer, seller, or realtor, I would love to hear your story. Share it in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else avoid the same situation. And if you found value in today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who rents property or owns an investment home. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'm Vishal Kapoor, and this has been another episode of Real Estate Wisdom with Vish. Until next time, stay informed, stay prepared, and make every real estate decision a wise one. Disclaimer: the information provided in this podcast is for informational purpose only and should not be considered as financial or investment advice. Consult with your professional before making any real estate decisions.